Good morning again.
大家早晨，好少見你着咁多衫。
It's really cold here.
呢度好凍。
We went to the Philippines on a Tuesday.
咁
2 weeks ago, 12 days ago.
所以佢哋一家咧就去咗菲律賓啦，又再翻嚟啦，咁啊去咗2個禮拜啦。
And we came back yesterday.
尋晚翻到嚟。
On Saturday, March 30th, I bought a newspaper.
咁就30號嗰日咧，3月30號嗰日星期六嚟嘅，咁 Scott 咧就買咗喺菲律賓咧買咗份報紙。
The day before Easter.
咁就係復活節嘅前一日。
And I saw an interesting picture in the corner on the front page.
見到咧見到一個好得意嘅相喎，見到我都。
I'll read you the headline. Pope's questionable example is the top. Okay, don't look at this guy hurting himself on the cross. Okay. Argentine pontiff washes women's feet in break with church law.
我睇下我驚我譯錯。咁就講到咧話教宗咧就幫一個女人洗腳，咁而呢個女人係咪犯罪㗎？係咪？
冇嘅，洗腳。
即係淨係講話個教宗幫個女人洗腳。
Pope Francis kissed the feet of a young detainee.
咁呢一個女士咧就係一個年輕嘅女士啦，咁教宗方濟咧就錫佢隻腳咁樣啦。
So he washes their feet and kisses them, and this is quite a break with tradition.
咁幫佢洗完腳啦，跟住又錫佢隻腳啦，咁其實呢啲舉動咧都唔係傳統嚟嘅喎，都打破傳統喎。
First of all, someone in jail, not a priest. Usually the Pope would choose priests to wash their feet, men and priests. And this time, this Pope chose to go to a jail, and some of the people whose feet he washed were women.
咁通常咧都會揀一個祭司出嚟咧，咁教宗會幫佢洗腳啦，咁係男士咁咯。但係譬如今次啦，咁教宗就去咗監獄裏邊啦，就幫一個女士洗腳。
Well, this ritual that the Pope did, and it's a tradition, is something that Jesus did. He started this tradition.
咁成為咗由耶穌基督開始啦，耶穌基督就去洗人哋嘅腳啦，咁之後咧就傳咗落嚟啦，就係成為一個傳統啦。
And when Jesus did it, he was criticized too.
咁當耶穌基督咁樣做嘅時候咧，耶穌基督都俾人哋詬病或者批評喎。
當佢洗腳嘅時候。
係啊，當佢洗腳嘅時候俾人批評啦。
Yeah, so because he was breaking with tradition.
因為耶穌都係打破傳統嘅，佢咁樣做。
Well, the Pope was just an interesting thing I saw. Let's look at the account in John 13 about when Jesus washed the feet of the disciples.
我哋一齊睇下咧，當耶穌基督咧喺約翰福音13章幫門徒洗腳嘅時候咧，有啲咩事發生
？John 13, and we'll start with verse 1.
我哋由第1節開始睇。
It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love.
逾越節以前，耶穌知道自己離世歸父嘅時候到了。他既然愛世間屬自己的人，就愛他們到底。
The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray Jesus.
吃晚飯的時候，魔鬼已將賣耶穌的意思放在西門的兒子加略人猶大心裏。
Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God.
就離席站起來，脱了衣服，拿一條手巾束腰， 就把水隨後把水倒在盆裏，就洗門徒的腳，並用自己所束的手巾擦乾。
So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him.
我頭先讀咗呢一度，我咪跳咗第3節冇讀過，發咗神俾我。大家為我祈禱啊。
Verse 6. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet?
挨到西門彼得，彼得對他說：主啊，你洗我的腳嗎？
Simon Peter is a little bit shocked, I think.
我諗咧，西門彼得咧當時係好詫異耶穌點解咁做。
I imagine Jesus coming down the line. Maybe he's washed a couple of disciples' feet already, and maybe he's washed 3 or 4, and it's Peter's turn, and Peter asks this question out of, I believe, not out of disrespect.
咁可能咧當時咧，耶穌已經去為幾個門徒已經洗咗腳啦。咁去到彼得面前啦，因為彼得就問咗呢一個問題啦。咁相信咧，其實彼得咧唔係出於唔尊重耶穌先至咁講嘅。
I think he asked this question because he respected Jesus very much.
反而咧就係因為佢係好尊敬耶穌啦，咁所以就咁樣問。
Jesus, their teacher, was doing a job that should not be done by a teacher.
因為耶穌係佢哋嘅老師嚟嘅喎，係做緊一樣老師唔應該做嘅嘢嘅喎。
He was doing a servant's job.
因為佢係做緊一啲僕人做緊嘅嘢。
And their feet were probably actually dirty.
而且咧，門徒嘅腳可能真係好污糟嘅。
I guess, I don't know, I guess that before the Pope washed these feet, someone already washed them. I think these people wash their own feet a lot, really good.
咁啊，我哋講翻頭先教宗嗰單新聞啦，可能咧揀着嗰個人咧，嗰個人事前咧已經洗乾淨對腳，先至等啊教宗洗佢對腳嘅。
Maybe Peter would say, "Are you going to wash my feet? They're dirty. Don't wash them. They're dirty."
可能彼得嘅意思係話嚇你真係洗我對腳，好污糟嘅噃。
This was a servant's job. It was a real need after being outside in the dirt and coming into the house that you wanted to keep clean. It's a real need that people had, and it was a dirty job done by servants.
因為咧洗腳呢個工作咧應該係僕人做噶嘛。事實上即係有咁嘅需要喎。咁大家喺條街度行咗一日啦，翻到屋企嘅時候，咁嘅隻腳梗係污糟晒啦。咁就等僕人去洗佢哋隻腳先入屋咯。
Now, Jesus knows that Peter doesn't really want him to do this.
耶穌好清楚咧，彼得唔想自己，即係彼得唔想耶穌自己去做呢件事喎。
And Jesus gives him a very respectful answer.
咁於是咧，耶穌咧就好大體、好得體咁樣去答佢啦。
Verse 7, Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I'm doing, but later you will understand."
耶穌就話：我所做嘅，你如今不知道，後來必明白。
Now, this is a fine answer, isn't it?
咁耶穌咁樣答都幾好啊。
How did Peter take it?
咁但係彼得點樣去理解呢？
Peter doesn't really accept it.
似乎彼得咧唔係好接受耶穌嘅答案喎。
And Peter says, "No, you shall never wash my feet."
彼得都係拒絕耶穌接受耶穌呢個舉動，我就話你永遠以後絕對唔可以去洗我隻腳。
Well, never say never.
咁但係其實我哋就唔應該講到咁實嘅一啲嘢。
Now, Jesus then raises the stakes.
咁於是咧，耶穌咧就好似兩個人喺度賭錢㗎嘛，耶穌咧就增加佢嘅注碼咯喎。
Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you will have no part with me."
佢話：如果我 若不洗你，你就與我冇份了。
Now I cannot help but imagine a sort of parent-child conversation.
咁啊 ，Scott 咧就會聯想到咧，耶穌同彼得呢一啲對話咧，就好似喺父母同仔女之間嘅對話咁。
Where when you have little children, young children, they want to know. Sometimes they don't accept what you're doing, and they want to know why. And they don't understand. And all you can say to them is, well, one day you will understand.
就好似咧，父母對仔女講啦，有一啲嘢咧就想仔女做，但係仔女咧成日都要問點解又或者唔明白，咁父母有時真係好難去解釋俾佢聽嘅，就係同佢講，可以同佢講就話，你大個你就明白㗎啦。
But they don't even understand that.
咁但係就算咩叫做大個就明白啊？呢一樣嘢小朋友都唔會明白嘅喎。
So they still say no.
所以咧，小朋友通常都我唔肯去做啊。
No, I'm not going to, wear the clothes you want me to wear. I'm not going to put on the sunscreen, wear my hat. This is my kids. Wear the hat, put on the shoes when you're walking on broken glass. Remember, children, when you're walking on broken glass, please wear shoes.
Why?
Why? One day you'll understand in 5 minutes. I don't care.
咁啊就好似咧試過啲細路仔咁樣啦，叫佢搽太陽油啊，叫佢戴帽啊，叫佢着衫啊，佢哋都唔明白，亦都唔肯去做喎。又或者咧，哇明明個地好多尖嘅嘢啊，好多危險嘅嘢，佢哋都係唔着鞋啊，踩上去啊咁樣。
Well, if you're a parent like me, then what's your choice?
如果你係好似 Scott 咁樣嘅父母，你會點選擇咧
？What do you do?
你會點做
Do you then wave the white flag?
你會即刻舉白旗投降啊，定係
I don't. I say, do your math homework, or you're not watching AFE tonight.
咁啊 Scott 就話：你如果唔做好呢啲數學功課咧，今晚就冇得睇電視啦。
I raise the stakes.
咁因為增加咗個注碼啊嘛。
And the kids don't understand, but they know that they can't do something they want to do, so they do what you want, usually. If you're lucky.
通常咧啲小朋友就係、雖然佢唔明白點解要做嗰件事，但係因為你有一個賭注嘛，你有威脅佢嘛，你話如果你唔咁樣做，佢自己就冇得做一啲佢想做嘅嘢，咁所以佢哋通常都會順從嘅。
Now Peter really loved Jesus.
彼得咧係愛耶穌㗎。
That's why they're having this discussion in the first place.
因為如果唔係咁樣嘅話咧，一開始就唔會有呢個對話。
And Jesus really loves Peter too.
而耶穌亦都係愛彼得啦。
And he's got to do this thing.
而耶穌係一定要去洗門徒嘅腳啊。
So he said to Peter, you'll have no part in me unless you let me do that. That's really serious. Jesus wants to have a part of Jesus, his ministry, his life. It's something he really wants.
咁耶穌真係好希望彼得能夠去同自己去，即係有嗰個耶穌基督嘅生命啊，耶穌基督俾佢嘅份啊。咁所以耶穌係好堅持或者佢係好想一定要去洗到彼得嘅腳嘅喎。
But Peter's like a stubborn little child. He doesn't give up yet. He starts to be a little bit silly.
咁啊，彼得咧，佢仍然就好似一啲咧頑固嘅細路仔咁樣喎。咁佢開始咧就可能唔係好神志清醒啦，開始就亂噏嘢啦。
That's how I interpret this next verse. That's just how I see this. Peter said, "Then Lord," Simon Peter replied, "Not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well."
咁啊！突然間彼得就話啦：哦，咁啊，主啊，你唔單止我隻腳洗啦，手啊、頭啊都洗埋佢啦。
This is how children reply. They make an unreasonable, crazy condition on the parent for them to do what they want them to do. This is what kids do. 咁啊，有時小朋友嘅反應就係咁樣噶啦，就係完全超出你想像以外嘅，就係應你嘅要求咧，佢就做咗啲好奇怪嘅嘢。 But the children are not in charge.
咁但係咧話事嘅始終唔係小朋友。
And now Jesus gives Peter another good answer. 咁
咁於是咧，耶穌咧就又係好好咁樣去回答話彼得。
Jesus said, "Come on, Peter, don't be silly. A person who has had a bath only needs to wash his feet, so body's clean."
咁啊，耶穌咧就類似就係話：哎呀，唔好亂噏啦你，凡洗過澡嘅人，只要將腳一洗，全身就乾淨啦。
Now he's talking about the physical condition of Peter's body. His body's clean, his feet are dirty. That's it. Don't be silly. Your body's clean. You had your bath this morning, Peter. However they had a bath back then. It's just your feet. He's talking about his physical body.
喺呢度咧，耶穌前面嗰部分咧就係講緊實際上彼得嘅身體喎。咁啊，可能彼得嗰朝已經沖過涼啦。咁啊，耶穌都係話啦，你都沖過涼啦，你其實係對腳污糟啫嘛。咁你洗咗隻腳，咪成身乾淨咯。
And in the middle of this verse, but then he switches to a spiritual meaning in the next sentence.
咁但係咧，後半部咧，耶穌所講嘅就唔係講緊實際上身體嗰種污糟啦。
He says to Peter, "And you are clean, though not every one of you."
耶穌就話：你們是乾淨的，然而不都是乾淨的。
For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said, "Not everyone was clean."
耶穌原知道要賣他的是誰，所以說你們不都是乾淨的。
And then Jesus washed Peter's feet.
咁耶穌講完呢句説話之後咧，就洗彼得嘅腳啦。
Look at what verse 12 says. When he had finished washing their feet, he washed Peter's feet.
喺第12節咧，耶穌呢度寫啦，耶穌洗完了他們的腳。個意思即係話，個門徒嘅腳都洗咗啦，包括彼得。
He put on his clothes. Jesus put on his clothes and returned to his place.
咁於是耶穌咧就着翻衫啦，坐低對佢哋講。
Do you understand what I've done for you? He asked them.
佢話：我向你哋所做嘅，你哋明白嗎？
Well, do you think they understood?
咁你估佢哋明唔明？
I don't know. I think probably they're in shock.
可能佢
They're
哋
probably in shock.
仍然仲係好驚訝、好詫異當中。
And they feel weird and uncomfortable.
可能覺得好奇怪，亦都好尷尬，好唔舒服。
Because someone who should not be touching their feet has just touched their feet.
因為咧，一個唔應該去掂佢哋隻腳嘅人咧，竟然頭先咧就係逐個咁樣去掂晒佢哋隻腳。
Verse 13, you call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am.
喺第13節啦，就話你們稱呼我夫子，稱呼我主，你們說的不錯，我本來是。
Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet.
我是你們的主，你們的夫子，尚且洗你們的腳，你們也當彼此洗腳。
I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you.
我給你們作了榜樣，叫你們照着我向你們所做的去做。
I tell you the truth, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him.
我實實在在地告訴你們，僕人不能大於主人，差人的也不能大於差他的人。
Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them.
你們既知道這事，若是去行，就有福了。
Now, this is a little bit confusing. It could be a little bit hard to understand because today we don't wash people's feet.
可能咧對我哋嚟講咧，都唔係好容易去理解呢段經文喎，因為咧喺我哋嘅日常生活當中，我哋唔會去揾人幫我哋洗腳啦，或者去互相洗腳啦。
Babies, you wash babies' feet, but besides babies, we don't go around washing people's feet, and servants or helpers don't have this job anymore. 即係
譬如好似我哋嘅屋企人或者工人，咁我哋都唔會話打水俾我洗腳咁樣，都冇呢樣嘢。
Is Jesus saying, "Oh no"? Well, should we say, "Oh no, Jesus said we should wash each other's feet, and we're not doing that in church. We should be doing it."
你會唔會理解為咧？係啊，我哋今日生活當中係唔洗腳㗎，但係咦呢一度耶穌叫我哋，佢咁樣做，我哋就要咁樣做。我哋教會係咪要開始推行翻呢一個活動啊
？Well, I don't think so.
咁唔係咁樣意思啊。
What's the idea? What was the idea behind Jesus washing his disciples' feet.
咁耶穌咧幫門徒洗腳呢一個舉動咧，背後佢係帶住啲咩想法嘅咧？
Here's a clue: it was the servant's job.
首先咧，第一樣啦，就係我哋知道咧，洗腳係僕人嘅工作嚟嘅。
So the idea behind washing someone's feet was an idea of serving them.
咁所以咧，讓我哋理解到啦，哦，原來去洗其他人嘅腳個意思，可能就係去好似僕人咁樣去服侍對方。
Now, is that something we can do today?
咁如果講到話服侍啦，我哋係咪可以做到？
Now, if Jesus was here today and he wanted to set the example of serving one another to remember, I don't think he would choose to wash his disciples' feet. He might choose some other example of serving.
咁啊，譬如啦，如果耶穌係活喺我哋而家呢個時代啦，如果佢要去將呢一樣嘢去教我哋，要去教我哋點樣去互相服侍嘅話咧，可能佢就唔會好似喺約翰福音咁樣，就係同門徒洗腳咯喎，可能佢會揀第二樣嘅方式。
Maybe if Jesus was in this church today,
如果今日耶穌喺呢一個教會
and we would be, I think we'd be really excited, we'd be happy, we'd be just thrilled, it would be great, it'd be a wonderful guest of honor sitting here. Maybe something even greater than that.
我哋當中啦，咁我哋當然係會好超級開心啊、興奮啊，覺得係好榮幸啊。咁啊，佢絕對係我哋嘅尊貴嘅嘉賓啊。
And you turn around and suddenly, where'd Jesus go?
咁啊，可能咦，耶穌行咗去邊啊？
And you're looking around for him, and you find him.
你揾緊佢嘅時候，終於揾到啦。
In the bathroom cleaning the toilet.
佢洗緊廁所喎。
What would you say? What would you think?
你第一個反應會點咧？你又會諗啲咩咧
？No, Jesus. What are you doing? You shall not clean our toilets.
可能你就會話：耶穌，你喺度做緊咩啊？你永遠或者你唔應該去洗我哋個廁所嘅喎。
That's not your job.
呢個唔係你嘅工作嚟㗎嘛。
Something like that. What is serving?
可能係咁樣嘅意思喎。咁啊，咩叫做服侍咧
I think serving is when someone has a need and we fulfill that need, then we are serving.
咩係服侍咧？就係有人有咁嘅需要。有人有一個需要，而你去滿足咗佢呢一個需要，或者你去幫助佢，咁呢一個就係服侍啦。
But there are different kinds.
咁但係咧都有好多唔同種類
One
形
is
式
when
嘅。
we have a job. Often in our jobs, we serve someone in our jobs.
咁啊，有一個形式咧，就係你份工咧，就係去提供服務嘅，咁你就喺你個工作當中去提供服務啦。
And we get paid for it.
咁我哋收人工喎。
Another kind of serving is when you serve someone because they've threatened you and you're afraid of them, and so you fulfill their needs out of fear.
第二個形式啦，可能就係有人威脅你，你係好驚，所以你就去按人哋嘅要求去做啦。
The kind of serving Jesus is talking about is not those.
咁頭先咧，我哋講嗰兩個形式咧，當然就唔係耶穌喺呢一度示範嘅形式啦。
The kind he's talking about is serving someone, fulfilling their needs because you love them.
耶穌咧係表現係第三樣啦，就係咧你點樣去服侍對方啊？係因為你愛對方。
Let's call it Christian serving, just so we know.
我哋可以係講為係基督徒嘅服侍啦。
This kind of Christian service also has a price.
咁基督徒嘅服侍咧，其實都要去有一個代價嘅喎。
It costs us our time and maybe our money.
咁當我哋要去付出呢啲服侍嘅時候，可能我哋就要獻出時間同埋或者係錢啦。
And effort.
仲有力量咧，你都要去付出你嘅努力㗎嘛。
And what is it not?
What is it not?
Christian serving is not.
咁我哋頭先講到話基督徒嘅服侍係點樣啦？咁有邊啲又唔屬於基督徒嘅服侍咧
Is this a foot washing ritual Christian service?
呢一個嗱教宗呢一張相啦，教宗呢一個舉動啦，係咪即係呢一個傳統啊？咁係咪基督徒嘅服侍咧
It's not just the Pope. It's not just the Catholic Church. In Protestant churches, I've seen it in churches. It's done. I've seen it.
而家呢一度咧，我哋唔係針對教宗喎，亦都唔係針對天主教啦。我哋講咧喺今日去進行呢一個洗腳嘅傳統，係咪一個基督徒嘅服侍咧
Well, that's not Christian service.
唔係喎，
Because those people's feet are not really dirty.
因為其實啲人啲腳都唔係咁污糟啫。
That is a ritual which is a reminder that we should serve others.
只不過咧，呢一個洗腳嘅舉動咧係一個傳統嚟嘅，去提醒我哋要去服侍其他人。
Christian service is not possible if your master is money.
如果咧你嘅主人係金錢嘅話咧，咁你付出嘅就唔係基督徒嘅服侍啦。
You're probably familiar with the verse, Matthew 6:24.
咁可能你都會知道呢一節經文啊，就係馬太福音第6章24節。
This is Jesus speaking, and in Matthew 6:24.
呢度咧係耶穌講緊説話喎。
Jesus says, "No one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money."
一個人不能侍奉兩個主，不是惡這個愛那個，就是重這個輕那個。你們不能又侍奉神，又侍奉馬門。馬門就係錢嘅意思啦。
If you're serving money, how can you serve others in the way Jesus wants us to do?
如果咧你係你嘅主人係金錢嘅話咧，你點可以係帶住耶穌基督想有你有嘅態度去服侍其他人呢？
Christian service has a cost of time, money, and effort. How can you use your time, effort, and money for someone if your real goal in life is to make money for yourself?
基督徒嘅服侍咧，其實要付出好多嘢嘅，時間啦、金錢啦、力量啦。如果你嘅主人咧係錢嘅話咧，咁你又點有能力去付出頭先我哋所講嘅嘢咧
Maybe two more questions. Why should we serve?
咁我哋又可以再諗多兩個問題啊。第一樣就係點解我哋要去服侍咧
Well, Jesus set the example. We just read about that, and he said it was an example to follow.
咁喺經文嗰度咧，我哋知道耶穌話係佢為我哋做咗個榜樣啦，叫我哋去跟隨佢嘅。呢個係其中一個原因，我哋要去做啦。
And we can see in Jesus' life that he served many people in many ways.
喺耶穌基督嘅一生裏邊咧，我哋見到咧耶穌係唔同形式嘅咁樣去服侍其他人。
Mark, Matthew, and Luke all say, or Mark and Matthew both say, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve."
喺馬太福音啦，或者馬太啦同埋馬可啦呢個人，佢哋都提到咧就係人子咧，即係耶穌基督咧嚟到地上咧，唔係要得到人嘅服侍啊，而係去服侍人。
Luke records that Jesus said, "I am among you as one who serves."
喺路加福音咧所記載嘅就係耶穌話：我咧嚟到你哋當中咧係為咗要去服侍你哋。
We should do it because Jesus set the example.
點解我哋要咁樣做啊？點解我哋要去互相服侍啊？因為耶穌成為我哋嘅榜樣，叫我哋去跟隨。
We should do it because God's commanded it.
第二樣就係咧，我哋梗係要咁樣做啦，上帝命令我哋咁樣做嘅喎。
Galatians 5:13 says, "You, my brothers, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the sinful nature. Rather, serve one another in love."
咁咧喺加拉太書啦5章13節啦，就講到咧，係啦。
Galatians 5:13.
加拉太書5章13節就講到我哋 弟兄們，你們蒙召是要得自由，只是不可將你們的自由當作放縱情慾的機會，總要用愛心互相服侍。
We should serve others because serving others is the part of the way that we serve God.
我哋點解要去互相服侍啊？因為其實我哋互相服侍咧，就係服侍上帝。
And we should serve others because if we don't,
我哋要去互相服侍啦，因為如果我哋唔咁做嘅話
it shows that we don't really love God.
即係咧表示我哋唔係真係好愛上帝喎。
1 John chapter 3 verse 16 through 18 explains that.
約翰一書3章10
1
節。
John. This is just a curiosity of the Bible. John 3:16 and 1 John 3:16 are very similar. It's very interesting. But now I want to look at 1 John 3:16.
我哋一齊睇下約翰一書3章16節。
So 1 John 3:16 through 18. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us.
主為我主為我們捨命，我們從此就知道何為愛。
And we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers.
我們也當為弟兄捨命。
This is beyond service. This is sacrifice.
哇！呢度講到唔單止係互相服侍喎，係要互相犧牲添喎。
If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need, but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him?
凡有世上財物的，看見弟兄窮乏，卻塞住憐恤的心，愛神的心怎能存在他裏面呢？
Dear children, let us not love with words of tongue, but with actions and in truth.
小子們啊，我們相愛，不要只在言語和舌頭上，總要在行為和誠實上。
Service comes from love.
服侍咧係出於愛。
If we don't have love, we won't serve.
如果我哋唔係出於愛，或者如果唔係我哋有愛嘅話，我哋唔會去侍奉。
If we don't serve, it shows we don't have love.
如果我哋唔去服侍咧，去表現出我哋唔係有愛。
And if we see someone who needs something, and we don't help them or serve them, it shows that we don't really love God.
如果我哋見到有人有需要啦，但係我哋咧冇去幫助佢喎，其實係表現出我哋唔係咁愛主咯。
Whoever loves God must also love his brother.
凡係愛上帝嘅，都一定要去愛佢嘅弟兄姊妹。
Last question, how?
咁我頭先問咗第一個問題啦，點解要服侍啦？第二個問題就係，咦，咁我哋點樣去服侍啊？
Another way to look at this is why we don't.
咁又或者咧，我哋又可以諗下，就係如果我哋唔服侍嘅話，我哋又可以諗下點解。
It's interesting that the Bible in a couple of places says that serving others is a gift from God.
喺聖經裏邊咧有幾笪地方咧都記載咗咧服侍人呢一樣嘢咧係神嘅恩賜嚟嘅喎。
If your gift is service, serve. Something like that.
類似
If your gift is service.
如果你嘅恩賜係服侍嘅，你就去服侍啦。
Now, I don't know, I can't look around and I see two people. And both of them are great servants. I don't know. Is that a gift from, it might be a gift from God.
咁其實咧我哋咧就唔識得去分辨嘅，即係譬如就算有兩個人啊，佢都係好樂意去侍奉大家侍奉神嘅，咁我哋唔知道邊一個係出於神嘅恩賜，所以先咁做喎。
It might be a habit developed deliberately.
因為咧其實服侍人呢一樣嘢可以係一個發展，即係一個習慣咧所發展出嚟。
If it's natural for you to serve others, great,
咁可能
wonderful.
你係好自然嘅咁樣去識得點樣去服侍其他人嘅，咁啊好好啦。
If it's not, you need to develop this habit if you say you're a Christian and you love God and you love your brother.
咁啊，相反啊，另外一位可能咧一開始真係唔係出於自然嘅，咁但係佢樂意咧去建立呢一個習慣咧，去咁樣去服侍喎。
Maybe if you know that it's hard for you to serve.
可能對你嚟講咧，你覺得都困難嘅去服侍。
Maybe it's because you think about yourself too much.
咁可能其中一個原因就係你太專注喺自己身上啦。
And maybe 80 or 90% of the time you're thinking about yourself and what you need.
可能咧喺你嘅生活當中咧，超過80%、90%咧，你都係諗緊自己嘅，你都係諗緊自己嘅需要嘅。
So to change, make the habit, you have to change in your thinking first to say to yourself, I need to stop thinking about myself all the time and think about other people more and do it.
可能咧，譬如對於你嚟講唔係咁自然咧，識得去服侍嘅話咧，可能你就要由根本嗰度開始改起啦，就係由你嘅想法開始改起啦。你就係不如我去多啲去考慮下其他人嘅需要啊。
You have to somehow wake yourself up when you're sitting around and thinking about all the things you need. To somehow say, wake up and realize, oh, I've been thinking about myself for 3 hours.
可能咧，你要去提醒自己啦，或者多啲留意自己嗰個思想啦。我又諗緊自己啲嘢嘞喎。
Start thinking about the people around you.
其實咧個意思就唔係叫你完全去諗自己啲嘢，但係咧亦都可以去開始咧去諗下其他人嘅嘢。
And when you start thinking about others, you will start to see what they need, and you'll start to notice that.
因為咧，你多關心其他人嘅時候，你就會知道咧人哋嘅需要啦。
And then you can have the chance, the opportunity to do something.
因為當你知道人哋嘅需要嘅時候，同樣咧就係一個機會嚟嘅，就係你可以去為對方去做啲事情。
And to fulfill their need in some way.
按你嘅能力啦，去回應佢哋嘅需要。
But remember, it's not for your own profit.
記住喎，你唔係喺從中得到益處嘅喎。
Now, it's easy to say, oh, I'm a waiter in a restaurant and I'm really nice to people and serve them really well because I want tips.
咁譬如喺餐廳裏面啦，有啲侍應咧對啲客人咧非常之好啊，點解啊？因為佢想要 tips 咯。
I did that job for 5 years. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not Christian service.
Scott 曾經做過侍應啦，如果為着呢個目的咧去服侍客人咧，咁其實係冇錯嘅喎。咁不過咧，呢一個唔係基督徒嘅服侍。
That's easy to recognize, right?
因為係睇得出嘅，其實。
But we can serve others for our own personal reward in another kind of way.
但係我哋都可以咧去為着去得到回報啦，去服侍其他人嘅。
And if we're doing it for that reason, for a recognition, for the appreciation we get, what's the difference for doing it for money? It's for your own benefit.
係啦，個意思咧即係話譬如有啲人咧，佢哋服侍嘅係出於啲咩啊？佢就係出於咧想人哋去讚佢，咁或者係想自己得到金錢以外嘅其他益處。咁其實咧都冇分別嘅喎，其實係同你想賺錢都冇分別啦。
Here's what I'm talking about. I hold the door open for someone. I do this. This is me. I hold the door open for someone who's behind me going into a restaurant, and they don't say thank you, and I get mad.
所以就講佢自己嘅經歷啦，就係譬如有陣時咧經過一啲門口啦，佢就開住道門等人哋可以過到啦，咁人哋又唔講唔該喎，所以咧就會唔舒服啊。
No.
佢會嬲 ，OK， 佢嬲啦。
Angry. Like now.
佢就會嚇唔講得唔該。
Why am I holding the door before them? Why am I doing it? To serve them because they have a need or because I want to feel good about myself?
點解要頂住道門去等人哋可以過到，而人哋唔多謝你嘅時候，你會嬲啊？係因為真心想幫人啊，定係想人哋講唔該咧
？Well, really, out of love, when we serve, we do it for the other person, not for ourselves.
咁真心去幫助人嘅時候咧，你要記住係為咗人哋嘅好處啊，唔係為咗自己嘅好處。
Nevertheless, Jesus says there's a blessing for you if you serve.
不過咧講到最尾咧就係當我哋去服侍嘅時候，神咧預備咗啲賞賜俾我哋。
Jesus said, "You'll be blessed if you do this."
耶穌話：你咁樣做咧，你就有福啦。
And we also know the verse, it's better to give than to receive.
我哋都好記得有節經文啊，就係施比受更為有福啦。
So next time you see or hear about someone washing someone's feet,
咁下次啦，當你見到一個人去為另外一個人洗腳嘅時候
remember this is a reminder for us to serve each other out of love.
記得咧呢一個係一個提醒嚟㗎，去提醒我哋咧要互相服侍。